Everybody, thank you for joining us for this week's Mother Daughter Moment. I am your host, your girl, your sister, your best friend, Alexis Robinson, and tonight I am here with the magnificent licensed professional counselor, Miss Shirrie Jones. She is joining us tonight to talk all things mental health. She's going to help us live better, manage our stress, and just have an overall healthy lifestyle. So, everybody say, hey, Shirrie.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are so excited. And I know this is a serious topic, but I think it's super necessary for us to speak about mental health, especially going into this new school year with virtual learning and everything else that's going on. So I am so happy that you were able to join us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, Shirrie, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been practicing?
So licensed over 10 years, but before that I've worked in correction centers. I worked in teen centers. So most of my career, as far as outside of college, I actually have been somewhere into the mental health field. So um, basically I've worked in inpatient. I have also did IOP, which is intensive outpatient program for addiction. I've done a little bit of that, some intake. And I now currently am doing just therapy. So I actually see children 12 and all the way up to adulthood. And I will see families, couples, and individuals.
Okay, wow. So you said you see kids as young as 12. When should we start talking about mental health in the home?
So the reality is mental health is something that we're teaching our kids from the time they're born, right? They are looking
Okay.
at they're looking at their parents to learn how they're supposed to foster relationships, how they're supposed to communicate. So there's a whole bunch of things that start from an infantry. But so I would say that as soon as they can talk, or, because if you think about it, a child will cry because they
Yeah.
fall. A parent either is going to sit back and watch the child and see if the child's just going to pick themselves up, or they run to the child and make sure they're okay. And so it just depends on different parenting styles of what you think is the right way, I guess, because there's not
Okay.
really a right way. Um,
Okay.
so it also depends on the child as well.
Okay. So say I want to introduce it in middle school, right? They're going to sixth grade. What would that conversation sort of look like?
So, for instance, so I have a daughter that's going into seventh grade. One of the things she always tells me, I hate when you ask that. I always ask her, how can I be a better mother?
Wow.
Give me some pointers. And so basically, it's usually things that she wants or certain things, but then sometimes she'll say quality, she would like to spend more quality time with me, because we get busy in our day-to-day life that we don't necessarily have um, conversations with our children just to check in
Right.
with them. And so usually that's around nighttime on a weekend, right? So we have more time. And so I'll sit and lay in her bed with her and say, you can ask me any questions that you want. Sometimes
Wow.
you bring up topics, or I'll say, come on, let's go for a walk. And what do you know about boys? Or tell me about bullying or anxiety or depression. So it's kind of like doing a check-in with them,
Okay.
just to see where they're at. And I think sometimes we would be surprised at the things that they know that we think that they don't know.
Right. Right. So okay, let's talk about that for a second. What if they come to you with a question and you're like, I never talked about this with my parents, or I've never been to a counselor. Like, what's a quick but realistic and reliable resource that we can sort of say, okay, she's asking about um, depression. She's feeling really sad, or she's being anxious about maybe an AP class or a test that's coming up, and it's really wearing on them week after week. Where do we go?
So one, Sometimes when people ask that, sometimes it's the means that you have, right? Some people don't have insurance, so they can't go to a therapist.
Right.
So sometimes it's just even going to the school counselor and kind of checking in with the teachers in the schools to help facilitate support for your child. Sometimes it is a family friend. Usually kids actually do better and thrive better if they have another support system. So that's a coach or a teacher or outside friend. I just had this
Okay.
conversation with my daughter. Her friends were over, and I said, what adult would you go to if you get in trouble, especially when you get older? You should have some
Right.
adult number in your phone that if you're scared to go to your parents, you can go to them.
Right.
So that is important. So it is just, if we look at, in general, just cartoons,
Hmm.
right? Or we watch what the children are watching on Nickelodeon, you learn a lot because they're dealing with depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and those are just things on Nickelodeon, right? And so sometimes I think we're unrealistic because when we were growing up, maybe there wasn't cursing. Maybe they didn't talk about the LGBTQ community as much, where that's their norm. Right.
Right.
So the
Right.
things that they're dealing with now is things that we may not have been dealing with from adulthood. And so sometimes, unfortunately, we have to be a little bit uncomfortable and start talking to our kids about things that maybe we think are too mature for them.
Oh, wow. 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 Now, do you find, okay, so we're talking about something totally uncomfortable, boys or relationships or whatever it is. Um, how do we ensure that we are a safe place for that conversation to happen? Like, how do we make sure that they feel safe in that environment enough to come to us and say, whatever it is, mom, I'm going to ask you anything.
And that has to do with our check-ins that we should
Okay.
have with our children every once in a while, right? Because I'll tell my daughter, mommy's going to love you through the good and the bad. When you do things well or when you do make mistakes, and you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's when they do make mistakes that we're not yelling at them or belittling them. Sometimes, like we do just because we're parents and we don't mean to, because we have
Right.
feelings
Right.
too. But at the same time, just being able to acknowledge our own mistakes, and they can tell us that we're wrong. And okay, you got that one. I was wrong on that. My bad.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
but trying to always just have an open door. One of the things, especially I miss about being in school is when dinner time comes around. That's always like a little check-in time. So, what did you do today? Something that you liked about today, and was something that you didn't really like. What was something that was said to your friends? If you do
Okay.
things a while, your kids will start doing it to you. So my kids will go, "How was your?" Especially my youngest, "How was your day, mommy?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is just trying to have communication about small things, so then it will lead to the bigger things later.
Okay. Okay. So I heard you say, we need to make sure we don't overreact, right? When our children say certain things to us, being able to admit when we make mistakes and when we're wrong, just to make sure that they're comfortable in saying, I made this mistake, even can you help me through this process, right? Those are good. Those are really good. Okay. Um, when when should we reach out to someone, whether it's for our children or for ourselves?
When it is a disturbance of your daily life, right? So if I'm an A student and now I'm making C's, well, why are you making C's? Or if I'm used to going out and now I'm in my room. And so the reality is, I would say majority of people are either anxious or depressed at this time. So my biggest concern for a majority of people is not even now, is when winter comes. Because
Right.
we won't be able to get outside. They're not going to get the exercise that they need, right?
Right.
I have a rule of thumb. If you brought it up, you probably should seek help, right? If you're thinking about it, you should probably, because we do it on a daily basis anyway. We just don't realize it. We just usually reach out to a family friend, or someone
Right.
that we know, and we talk about it. But sometimes their opinions, they're too close to it to give objective opinion. So, or just feedback. So I think when it is outside of your norm, because we need
Okay.
depression, we need anxiety, right? And we're never going to be happy all the time. But when it starts to affect your daily life, it's usually when you want to go and seek some professional help.
Okay. Okay. So are there any other signs that maybe we should look out for, whether it's for our parents or our children, beyond like an interruption? That I feel like that's a really big one. But are there any are there any signs that kind of lead up to that point?
So again, I think it's when there's a change of behavior, low appetite, or increased appetite. 'Cause some people don't eat and some people overeat. Not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to shower, brush your hair, get dressed.
Okay.
Usually, when you don't really feel like there's a reason to get out of bed, um, sometimes you won't see it because
Wow.
there's times where, and a lot of times, people keep things in.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's why, again, the check-ins are very important, um, because the problem is a lot of times we're so busy with life. And it's not that it's anything wrong, but you realistically, a normal day is parents get up, they get dressed,
Yeah.
they get their stuff ready for the kids, they get them out, you go to work, you come back, you feed your kids, you complain about homework, you tell them to take their showers, and you send them off to bed, right?
Right. Right.
So you're not, a lot of times you're not even going to notice a lot of things because we're not there,
Right.
right? Like the quality time that we actually spend with our family members is a lot less than we spend normally with work or their school. And so that's why people go, sometimes they're like, I didn't know. Well, they didn't want you to know sometimes, right?
Right. Right.
But if you're constantly checking in, you're going to notice it.
Okay. Okay. Checking in is key. Okay, guys. That's look, thank you for that. If for nothing else, like checking in is key. And we have to kind of be engaged. And I know life gets busy for all of us, right? But we have to make that a priority, not just for our kids, but even for like our parents too. Like that generation doesn't necessarily talk about how they're feeling as much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Checking in.
Being intentional,
Okay.
right? And it's about balance too. So for instance, if you work, um, what I would do from work to home is that's when I would call my friend or call my mother. Like,
Right.
so then it's a routine that I reach out to someone. So then it's not messing up like when you're getting home as much, right?
Right. Right.
Sometimes you have to
Right.
be intentional with your spouse, or you're intentional with your children, or intentional with anything, because it's not going to be 100% consistent all the time.
Right. That's a good point. Okay, ma'am. So, what are three ways that we can maintain or encourage good mental health beyond our check ins?
So, maintain mental health. One is trying to find different coping skills. So, a
Okay.
lot of times people will say, help me with this. Things only work up to a certain point, and that's anything, our diets, working out, you're going to plateau at some point. And so I think it's about making sure that you're switching different coping skills, whether it is music or different types of exercises, making sure you're connecting with friends. It is making sure that you are doing something for yourself, whether it's a bath, but that also means being in tune with your body and knowing what you need.
Okay.
And so usually there's like a list of those. Um, your mental health connection is one of, we're not really meant to be alone, even if you're an introvert, right? Like you
Yeah.
still need to reach out and talk to people. Some people, for instance, if you are retired, sometimes
Mhm.
people will fall into depression. I'm like, get a dog or volunteer. And then all of a sudden they have something else to look forward to, right?
Right. Right.
Um, So that is important. So I think eating right, exercise, connecting with other people, and just kind of checking in with yourself, because even just being
Wow.
bored is not taking care of self, right? Taking
Right.
care is that you're intentionally doing something for yourself that makes you feel good.
Right. Right. Wow. And it's so funny. Sometimes we actually have to be reminded to take a minute, take care of yourself. Like you're taking care of everyone else, or you're doing all your schoolwork, or you're focused on this or that. And that reminder is super key. Like, make sure you take care of yourself, guys. Exercise, eat right. Shirrie, this is awesome. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I'm not going to hold you forever. Thank you for all these tidbits. Before we let you go, we're going to play a quick game called Mom Said. It's a word association game. Like if I had the word nice, my mom would say, be nice to everyone you meet. You never know who you come in contact with, right? So I'm going to give you a word.
Okay.
You tell me what your mom would have said.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Power.
Don't give it away.
Yes. That is good.
It's like nobody can have your power unless you give it away.
That's good. Come on. Family.
You can't get rid of them. They're going to be there no matter what.
No matter what. Okay, fun.
Have as much of it as you can.
Awesome. Okay. Um, what about hair?
Embrace it.
Nice. I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Happiness.
It's fleeting. So grab it when you can.
Wow. I love your mom. Can I just say that? Your mom is on point, okay?
You know? Wisdom, right?
Yes. Okay, last one. Clothes.
Well, wear them respectfully,
Yes, okay.
you know, because, yeah. Fashion. Fashion is one of those things that a lot of times I tell people, I said it's trying to keep up or trying to fit in. Every single time you try to fit in, the seasons change and the clothes change. So there's
Right.
no fitting in this world. So you might as well stand out.
There you go. Everybody give it up for Miss Shirrie Jones. Look, tell us where we can find you. How can we like you, follow you, your practice, all of that?
So right now I'm working at Navant Health, Prince William. Going to be opening up a practice soon. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, as long as the most important thing when it comes to getting help or finding a therapist is making sure you gel with them, because if you don't connect with them, it doesn't work anyway. So you kind of have to do your homework and kind of try us on and see if you like us or not. And then if not, move on to the next.
Okay, you heard it here, guys. Thank you so much again, Shirrie. These nuggets are, I believe, it's really going to help someone, especially during this time. So, thank you again for joining us, guys. Make sure you like, follow, and share at Mother Daughter Day. We will be back. We will be back soon. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you.